Nadszedł czas zmiany, przejścia do prawdziwego działania wszechświata. I nadszedł czas, aby zrozumieć, że używamy stanu materii, by osiągnąć poziom zrozumienia duszy człowieka. Teraz rozumiesz, być może, dlaczego Kreator wysłał swoich posłańców w imię tego, co miałeś. To oni przynoszą uszy, aby można było ich użyć, gdy nadejdzie czas Mesjasza. Mogę nauczyć duszę i przesłanie. Nie by się przeciwstawiać, ale poprzez ich zrozumienie, przez tych, którzy stali się Mesjaszami, aby dawać ze swoich dusz, aby ich elewować. Zadanie stało się łatwe. Szkoła jest tutaj i uczniowie są tutaj w oddaniu. Wtedy nie będzie żadnej walki między tym, co nazywają muzułmanami, a chrześcijanami. Baranek i lew będą jeść i spać w tym samym gnieździe. Chrześcijanie i muzułmanie będą spać i modlić się w meczecie, w tym samym kościele, w imię ich dusz, nie w imię religii, które są używane do tworzenia tak wielu konfliktów, dla korzyści tych, którzy byli hiperaktywnymi dziećmi. Nadszedł czas, czas zmian jest tutaj. I jak powiedziałem, moje życzenie jest moim rozkazem. Jeśli pragniesz ujrzeć pokój, droga pokoju jest wyłożona bardzo wyraźnie. To dusza świadomości zbiorowej. Poprzez dawanie stworzy tą pozycję zmiany. Nic innego. W duszy człowieka nie ma długopisu. Jestem pewien, że po wejściu do społeczności uniwersalnej nigdy nie zobaczysz niczego zapisanego, ale równowagę pól duszy egzystencji. Staraj się być na tyle pokornym, aby nie stać się aroganckim w mocy, którą zrozumiałeś i posiadłeś. Inaczej wpadniesz w tą samą ścieżkę kościoła i meczetu. To jest to, co obiecaliśmy i to właśnie dostarczyliśmy. Musimy zrozumieć działanie duszy. I musimy zrozumieć, że dusza człowieka jest gwiazdą w kosmosie wszechświata. Jeśli porównamy duszę człowieka i tak wielu nas, 7 miliardów w jednym zbiorze, Ziemia jest jak galaktyka z tak wieloma gwiazdami. Kiedy patrzymy w głąb wszechświata, widzimy galaktyki z setkami milionów gwiazd. Podobnie jest z planetą Ziemią. Niesie 7 miliardów pięknych gwiazd, które są duszą człowieka. Niesie z sobą duszę tak wielu trylionów zwierząt, roślin i wszystkiego innego. Jeśli więc patrzą ci, którzy nie widzą fizyczności Ziemi i jej zawartości, co widzą? Widzą galaktykę z wielką ilością pięknych, świecących świateł. Każda według swojej siły. Każda zgodnie ze swoją pozycją. Niemowlę ma piękną duszę, podobnie jak staruszek. Dla tych niefizycznych, którzy nie widzą fizycznego wymiaru tej planety, ale widzą siłę pola, jesteśmy gromadami gwiazd. Ludzka rasa, każda pojedyncza dusza, nikt z daleka nie widzi. To jest dusza rybaka, to jest dusza kosmologa, to jest dusza prezydenta. Wszystkie świecą bez względu na fizyczność. To jest magia. Oto co nowa nauka musi przynieść człowiekowi. Kiedy patrzymy przez naszą duszę, widzimy tylko gwiazdy w innych duszach. I to jest przełom. To jest zrozumienie. Na tym właśnie polegają te wszystkie nauki. Dojście do dojrzałości następnego poziomu, aby zrozumieć daleki kosmos. Wszechświat jest ostrygą dla tych dusz, które służą. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy do wejścia w kosmos. Wtedy człowiek jest gotowy, aby stać się częścią uniwersalnej społeczności, która została obiecana. Nigdy nie obiecywałem wam nieba. Zawsze obiecywałem wam elewację człowieka, aby przyłączył się do rodziny. A teraz macie klucz. To wy musicie otworzyć drzwi, aby zrozumieć, że mogę elewować duszę tych ludzi lub milionów innych dusz, że fizyczne życie na tej planecie zmieni się. Wtedy jestem godny bycia częścią społeczności uniwersalnej, by być, aby służyć, aby się rozwijać, by być tam, aby być częścią, że w cyklu życia wszechświata staje się w byciu częścią, staje się częścią totalności. Kiedy człowiek osiągnie ten punkt, pojawi się nowy wymiar w sile duszy człowieka, który jest poza wyobrażeniem zrozumienia życia fizycznego. To jest brama do otwarcia nowego życia w nowym wymiarze, co jest poza wyobrażeniem tego, co mogliście nazwać nowym początkiem, nowym cyklem, gdzie ten cykl niesie ze sobą źródło stworzenia życia we wszechświecie i unikosie. To jest elewacja duszy, aby służyć. Stała się kluczem. Nie tron życia fizycznego. Czas jest odpowiedni, nadszedł czas, aby człowiek przeszedł przez ten proces.
Welcome, everyone. Welcome to the 382nd Knowledge Seekers Workshop. This is a broadcast of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute Education Department, part of the public teachings in English. My name is Rick Crammond. I'll be a host today on Thursday, May 27th, 2021. And once again, in these Knowledge Seekers Workshop series, we are joined and honored to be with Mr. Mayran Keshe of the Keshe Foundation, who will be presenting today's workshop. Hello, Mr. Keshe. Are you ready to begin today?
Yes, good morning, good day to you, as usual, wherever and whenever you listen to this series of knowledge seekers of the Keshe Foundation Spaceship Institute in learning more and sharing more knowledge amongst us, as we are all knowledge seekers. We welcome you back to another session of what I would call beautiful knowledge. We learn from it a lot and we progress a lot with it. Last week we announced the signing of the agreement for one of the largest up to now manufacturing bases of the Keshe Foundation in China, some 17,000 square meters. thank you to the team of Keshe in China, headed by Wang Lin and Chao and Xiaojin and what we call the whole team of the Keshe Foundation, which is now moving and partially has already moved to the position of the Jindenjian to set up the factory and the whole operation with it as a first base. As you heard, this factory is one of the 20 factories which the Keshe Foundation has received the support to build in China in next few years. This is the beginning of, and as part of our operation is this place will be the space development technology in conjunction with the Chinese authorities, that we bring China and Iran and the rest of the world on the same level in the space technology. We have another good news in a way for you that we start. Keshe Foundation Television has found a permanent position that they move into for the next couple of weeks, and the whole operation will have a permanent studio, as the Keshe Foundation has had to leave the Linz exhibition center, as the government of Austria has taken over the whole center as a center for what we call injections and applications of the corona to control and test. So we are moving out of exhibition center. We have moved to a much more prestigious, much prestigious, but a permanent place for Keshe Foundation in Europe. This is a beautiful location where a lot of things, which makes it much easier, because where we were before, it was a lot of a struggle to get to. Now this is much easier. There is a tram and there is a train and everything else possible to get to, which makes it easier for the people who just come especially to visit the center or the systems. For this reason, at this place where the television moves, we have an exhibition center, and with the agreement of what we have on the Keshe management, we are looking for knowledge seekers with a good knowledge of the Keshe Foundation technology and fluent in at least 2 to 3 languages to join the Keshe Foundation in this center. This center was what was our wish. We announced some time ago that it will be carried out from now on this way, where we have what we call application of the enhancement centers, that people can come for using it like every other sports center, and demonstration and what we call exhibitions of, and what we call store for selling products of the Keshe Foundation. We've been lucky to have our wishes in a way to come true in a beautiful way, where not only people can receive the benefits of the technology to learn and become like a teaching center, but it becomes what we call the Enhancement Health Center Space Technology. This place should be open in the next couple of weeks once the refurbishment is done, and the facilities will come the first center where we receive on the back of Iran, Arizona, the enhancement units. We use this as we wanted, as an enhancement center, but within a large retail organization. Where we wanted it as bringing the knowledge directly into public, as in what we said, like a shopping centers, huge shopping centers. This has given us a huge opportunity to bring the knowledge directly to the people, where we become part of. It's very much as you go to a shopping center, you go to opticians, or you go to somewhere else for what you need. Now this is the way we wanted it. We brought the public in directly in touch, and as a retail shop where they get to know the technology, and the center of the health center becomes part of it. We thank for those people who work in the background for it, but we are looking for a number of people to employ who understand, can explain the enhancement units, and be able to be fluent in German, English, and possibly French or Chinese. And in that process, we welcome you. If you have the ability to do so, get in touch through the normal channels of Keshe Foundation. We need at least 3 to 5 people to man these facilities on a 6-day basis, as we are part of the very large, what we call retail store. And in a way, we bring the technology to public. This is good for us in a way. We introduce the technology not on the internet, but directly to the public. They can come, feel it, they understand it. And with it, we put teaching sessions that people understand. They just don't buy a product, they understand the technology and carry on with it. As I said, I thank the whole of the Keshe Foundation team in the background who's made this, what we call, doable. And you will see in this exhibition center all the systems, the vertical, horizontal, and all the advanced technologies, which is part of the Keshe Foundation work. In the teaching last week, we made a very clear announcement that how we start showing you the combination of the use of the systems, how the air enhancement unit can be used in conjunction with what we call the vision enhancement units, in conjunction with what we call the environmental systems for field detection and field absorption. And today we try to expand on this in a different way. The knowledge and technology has to be on the basis of understanding of the totality. We have to now understand how we connect everything together and how we come to interact with all the knowledge in different way. In a way, we are bringing the different pieces of jigsaw to make different pictures, and then we open it up, and with the same pieces, we make another jigsaw to be completed. Last week, we explained the use of and how we use the air enhancement units in conjunction with the vision unit, in conjunction with what we call the butterfly. Today, we want to expand on this in the knowledge in a way that if we understand what these processes create, it will be very interesting for many of us to extend the knowledge to understand the technology. What is important is, as we said, we have the body of the man, and we have introduced systems like the air enhancement unit. We have introduced the systems like the vision unit. We have introduced a system like the butterfly. But what does it do? Many of you made the Gans waters. What's the purpose of totality of this? Our ultimate goal is one thing, and that is to elevate the son of the man, the soul of the man, where the sun shines, when the whole thing is created by it and through it. What is the purpose of all this work? Mankind has fed the physicality from the beginning of time. But mankind has never understood how to feed the soul of the man, the sun, the center. That in conjunction with its elevation, it will become in touch with the rest of the structure of the universe. One of the simple things which we have to understand is that every sun has a heartbeat. In the physical dimension of the man, we listen to the heartbeat of the man, and we consider it as if the life exists within it. We got to understand that the soul of the man has a heartbeat too. How do we tune into it? How do we excite it? How do we create a condition for it to be able to expand beyond the boundary of the physicality? When we run, when we get excited with the beauty or the presence of anything, our heartbeat increases and we become more aware of. We are becoming more, in a way, intelligent, more giving. When we fall in love, when we see the lover, our heartbeat increases and we become more active, we become more energetic. But we have a reason for it. We have a lover. We have a condition to create that condition of increase in the beat, increase the expansion of the fields. Now mankind has to understand and find a way to measure the heartbeat of the soul of the man. But there is one point which man has to understand. Somewhere, in some work, in some condition, the heartbeat of the soul of the man has a direct effect on the heartbeat of the physicality of the man. They are in tandem. Otherwise, they don't exist. One of the reasons man dies in the dimension of physicality is when the heartbeat loses its tandem with the heartbeat of the soul of the man. As long as you can keep the two heartbeats connected, you can keep the soul and the soul of physicality of the man in working, in tuning, in operating with each other. So one of the main things for us to understand is understanding of the heartbeat of the soul. Man's knowledge has been up to now that we have understood the earth has a heartbeat. The scientists tell us that the sun has a heartbeat. So what about the son of the man? Within the center of the structure of the man, we call the soul of the man. Isn't the challenge for man to develop technologies that can measure that heartbeat, the heartbeat of the soul? And if we can find that heartbeat by using any of the structures we have in our hands, be it the environmental, be it your vision, be it your butterflies, be it your cup, should be able to interact, that with it we can create a condition to enhance the heartbeat of the soul of the man, that he falls in love, or it's excited that it can take over the dimension of the physicality of the man. As I said in the past teachings, this is our target. How for man to learn, to get excited, to be able to bring energy levels that can allow the soul of the man, the heartbeat of the soul of the man, to get excited, that moves beyond the boundary of the physicality, but still is connected to the dimension of the soul of the physicality and the soul of the heartbeat of the body of the man within the heart of the man. In a way, is a big question for mankind. Is the heartbeat we hear is a combination of the heartbeat of the soul of the physicality and the soul of the man together, where we hear it in the dimension of the physical heartbeat of the man. And why the physicians of the time have not understood why is the reason that heartbeat changes. Is it the soul of the physicality, or is it the soul of the man which changes the heartbeat? Or to what extent the two have interaction with each other, that they lead to the sound of the heartbeat of the man? Does the heartbeat of the earth has control over the heartbeat of the man? Does the construction of the physicality of the man in the gases of the amino acid, in conjunction with the heartbeat of the man, the heartbeat of the soul of the man, and the heartbeat of the planet, dictates the condition of the physicality of the man. Is this one of the reasons that man has different shape and color in different parts of this planet? Then it has to create manifestation of physicality, that what we look in different colors and races across this planet. But is the essence of the heartbeat of every soul on this planet more or less the same, or near enough the same? With different interactions with the heartbeat of the earth, create different physicality. Some look Chinese, some look black, some look Africans from the South America and the rest. In a way, mankind has to understand the process of the heartbeat. How do we create it? And in that heartbeat, if we understand, then we can travel the span of the universe. Would there be a time when the knowledge of the man reaches to have the measure of the heartbeat of the Creator? To be able to travel the span of the universe. In so many ways, what is the process of the creation? And what is, if you understand with it, what we call as a heartbeat, the key to transmutation, transportation, and everything else that the man has been attached to. The most important thing for mankind and the rest of the creation is how that heartbeat is created. We can measure it, but if we do not understand the process of its creation, how can we replicate it? We cannot be the monkey see, monkey does, because each position, each condition has a different strength, what we call heartbeat. When we have a child, they say the heartbeat is 120 or whatever. As we get older, we are happy with the 50 and 60 and 100. Was too much. What changes that condition? Is it the process of the growth, or is it the process of the birth, or is it the process of adjustment to the new environment that needs a higher heartbeat? Or is it the time that we reduce the heartbeat of the physicality to be able to allow the heartbeat of the soul to take over, what we call at the point of separation or death? Then it will be easy for all of us in the coming time to measure the physical heartbeat, the heartbeat of the soul, and dictates the time of departure. As we know, the energies cannot be replaced, or we decide not to. In a way, we call it, at this moment of time, suicide. We decide to end the physicality, but in the dimension of the soul of man, there is no suicide. We decide where to transfer and how to transfer and interact with the heartbeat of the physicality, the environment, and the soul, that it manifests itself in a dimension and direction. If we understand how the heartbeat is created, then we understand the process of the creation. The heartbeat comes from the interaction of the giving and taking, when it reaches its maximum and its minimum. When the body charges to its maximum, that body being the soul of the man, or the soul of physicality of the man, or the physicality of the man. And then at that point has to release its energy, that it goes back to the minimum, because it has reached its maximum. It's the point of the balance between the gravitational and magnetical, and where one reaches its maximum balance with the other. In a way, we learn a new process. We learn to create the tune between the gravitational and magnetical, that when one reaches the maximum of one, the other one gives up, and you go back to create the minimum of the other and the maximum of the other one. In so many ways, when mankind learns this minimum and maximum, and the maximum charge, then we will be able to create and replicate the process in any dimension, as the heartbeat of the creator beats across the whole of the heartbeats of the created. This needs a deeper understanding of the technology of the creation, because this is where the knowledge is transferred to physicality and showing up a system we call the body of the man, or an animal, or another creatures of the creator in the universe. In so many ways, the tuning of the one to the other. We see this in so many ways. We could see this from the beginning in the first reactors we built. This is where we discovered the heartbeat. This is where we understood the maximum and the minimum, and the charge balance between the two has reached the position of the interaction. If you look at the shape of the heart, if you look at the shape of the physicality of the center of the earth, center of the sun, will give you a clear indication that the heartbeat is controllable or can be matched to. When we travel the span of the universe from Earth to the moon, we first have to discover the strength of the heartbeat of the sun or the moon, and then be able to travel in the environment of the sun to reach to the moon. Because there is one heartbeat inside the other. Then the complication comes in how we be able to understand this knowledge. On Earth, we call it the high tie and the low tie. In a way, is the measures of the interaction of the heartbeat of the moon and the heartbeat of the Earth, in conjunction with the fields of the heartbeat of the sun. This is the reason why, for the first time, we understand we have different high and lows in different positions and seasons, as our position in respect to the heartbeat of the sun changes. Then part of this heartbeat of the man, part of it is what we call high tie and low tie, if you look at it overall, has something to do with the heartbeat of the creator. Because it has an effect on the heartbeat of the sun, the moon, and the earth, and the heartbeat of the man, and the heartbeat of the soul of the man. In the coming time, we will introduce these new technologies that you can measure the heartbeat. You can decide where that balance point of turn will come. We have a very good example of it. Look at the heart of the man in the dimension of physicality of the man. The balance fields and the charge of the one to other, it twisted the heart so much that the field forces the heart to move. In a way, we convert the balance changes of the fields of the gravitational and magnetical in what the body pumps out as a blood, and what body gets back in from the blood in the magnetic fields of it, releasing the charges to the heart, makes that change from dimension of energy to physical motion. If we can create the conditions in our reactors that instead of this heartbeat, physical motion of the heart will lead to the motion of your craft to another dimension, to where the other heartbeat is. Now you understand how in the future we will travel through the understanding what we call gravitational magnetic field balance, or the heartbeat of the universe. In the heart of the man, when these peaks of the giving and taking, what is given out and what comes back, the balance fields creates that motion of the heart, will lead to the motion of the physicality of the man, or can be transferred to transfer the what we call the soul of the man to a new dimension, an extension of the life anywhere in the universe. You do not need rocket propulsion. You do not need UFOs. You only have to understand the power of the interaction of the fields of the heartbeat of the totality. Then we understand mankind and the rest of the universal community has entered a new dimension of transportation and transmutation. How do we transmute? How we create gold out of a dust of a zinc? How do we create oxygen out of plutonium? We don't create fusion. We don't create fission. We create the heartbeat of the matter we need. In so many ways, many of you should have achieved that. We hear some of our knowledge seekers in China have announced that they have managed to produce gold, understanding the technology of the plasma in the past few weeks. We congratulate them, because this is what was achieved in Austria some 3 years ago, when matter state was done. But our knowledge seekers looked at the physical condition of the field, but you have to understand the heartbeat of the field. In the enhancement units, which you have seen we produce material, we leave it to you to understand that it's from the interaction of the fields. But in fact, every system heartbeat is tuned to tune with the sun in the center. And I can change the heartbeat. I produce gold this second, and the next second is the heartbeat of zinc, copper, oxygen, plutonium, whatever you need. With this process, man will develop new technologies that can produce the matters which are unseen to man and the atmospheric condition of the earth, what we call rare earth materials. It would not be rare because we have the knowledge to create the most rarest materials in the universe. One thing which mankind has to understand, why don't we have the other materials we see in the space on the earth? Because the heartbeat of the earth cannot match the heartbeat of the fields of the plasmas which have created that matter in that position in the universe. This was very obvious when we gave the first samples of the ganses to the scientists at the University of Ghent in Belgium. When we had the reading, it says this material, which was originally the CO2, has the characteristics of materials, what we call fancy elements, that man knows about or things can be made, but it was the first time the equipment of the technology could confirm the existence of it on this planet. This was a breakpoint too. If you read book number where we explain about the ganses, you see it has been referred that system has identified some 22 different elements because the what we call Raman spectroscopy, infrared spectroscopy, could measure the fields, could see these fields, confirm the existence of these materials within the gas. The ability to convert this gas to any of these elements, because the heartbeat of the element tunes to it. The transmutation of the elements to any other 22 was very clear to us from the second we received the data from Raman spectroscopy and infrared spectroscopy. It wasn't just any more CO2. The fancy elements were the first time were confirmed to exist within the environment of this plasma, within the environment of the heartbeat of the earth. When you send your ganses, ask them what materials do the system say, or does the system say that can be, and this is the confusion for scientists, how can one gas of CO2 as a collection show the property of the what we call fancy elements, which we think exist, might exist, and how can we see, for example, oxygen, or we can see helium, or we can see potassium inside a CO2 magnetic gravitational field. So we saw the transmutation of the energies from the first test we did in Ghent University some 14, 15 years ago. Now we have to find how from this GANs, which gives us the possibility of the what we call fancy elements, can be made transmutation within the structure of the CO2 itself. We are knowledgeable. Read the books. Go back to the chapters where you read about the ganses. For the first time, we could understand we can transmute between elements within the structure of a plasma of a gans. There was the evidence. Scientific man-made machines could confirm the existence of the field energies which the system converted it to the possibility of the existence of the matter-magnetic field strength. So we see what we teach about transmutation has already been in the books for past 10 years. Now you can understand more. Open the book, read it again. Then you understand. Then you understand why, even in one of the pictures of the book, we have put different color ganses and we say they don't mix. Even they accommodate each other, but they don't have the heartbeat of each other. Gap space. The way you put two magnets on the table, they created the gap space distance according to their heartbeat, according to what magnetical and gravitational fields they get. It's the same as a man. When you have your lover, you bring it close. Your child, you hug, you transfer energies. But you don't do that with every man on the street. You keep your distance. It's the same with the ganses. What is connected and what has a relationship allows that connection. In so many ways, what has been taught now can be explained to be understood more, in more detail. Now, the man scientists have to develop the new technologies to be able to replicate. Find a media that allows the replication of it for the use of the man, which is that media with a combination of the hydrogen and oxygen of this planet of different strength. When you go to what they call the holy waters, or the waters which comes from the mountains, or the springs which come out of somewhere, and they say this water is good for the eye, this water is good for the kidney, because people who had the kidney problem have drank it and they don't have any more problem. People who had a vision problem, now by drinking the water they don't have. Look at the essence of it. Where did water pass across the span of this planet that has gathered within it the field strength of that field strength of carries possibly amino acids which can interact, connect with the body of the man, which is the strength of the liquid of the eye of the man, which allows it to function, and then in functionability allows what we call change of vision. Then mankind has to look, what we said last week, for that elusive element which my man putting in his mouth or bringing it to a position near the soul of the man can elevate the soul of the man to the dimension of passing the physicality, where in physicality that energy field, what we use now, the physical mouth of the man, has a still control to remove it and convert back to the physical condition. As the brain of the man within the center of the soul of the man is still in control of the confirmation of the physicality. This becomes the time when the man will have no fear of death anymore. As in a way, today you have corona, you get a vaccine injection and you hope it works. But this time, like a scanner, by taking in the tablets of the energy fields, you expand the soul of the man and you scan the fields right across the physicality, bringing everything to the harmony and balance, and then retracting it. You had a cancer this second and not the next. You absorb the energy from the fields of the universe, which gave you the virus that can destroy, separate the fields of the separation of your cells, and now you don't. In a way, you already knew this. You put patches on your body. You wash your body with different gans fields, and at the same time you drink the gases, and then at the same time you inhale it. You have known this knowledge. It's not something new. Now is for mankind to reach that point. The point of what we call the maturity of the physicality, that understanding man can have anything he needs. You need to go back into it, increase the field strength of it, and then switch it over to expand the soul. In the very first test we did with the people with what we call epileptic attack, this was very clear. Man has that power to do so. But he converts the energy into the soul of the physicality instead of to the soul of the man. One of the very first cases of when we tested the ability of the fields of this technology was with what we call an epileptic attack condition, where we realized the lady was creating her own attacks, her own epileptic attacks, but when she was creating so much energy, instead of giving it to the soul, she was pulling it to the physicality to get the attention, was then couldn't be able to control, and then she had the epileptic attack because the physicality cannot handle so much energy in a physical dimension. If she could transfer the energy instead of releasing to the neural system into the soul of the man, she would have been able to become invisible or become a light and then come back to a physical condition. But she wanted the attention of physicality of the mother and the father. When we handle this from the beginning, it was very obvious to me that how mankind chooses continuously conformation of physicality to the conformation of the soul of the man. The girl was having some 20 epileptic attacks a day. She was under observation from age of 5 by the most top physicians in the country. And when we saw her, she was in the age of 35, 37. It was obvious for me from day one that she is triggering the epileptic attack. But for me, I had to understand how she triggers it. What is the condition of the creation of the fields that becomes a physical reaction with the vomiting, convulsion, with the shaking of the body. It came to me very clear from the early stages of this that she is converting the energy of what is created in the brain instead of feeding into the soul, finding satisfaction and elevation to the dimension of physicality. Then she loses control, and now the body has to get rid of it in pulses, as what we call the system of the body of the man has a switch. If we can increase this switch to a higher order, then we'll find out we'll come to be able to elevate the soul of the man. In a way, but what the people do with the epilepsy, those who can trigger it themselves, they create this energy to elevate the soul. But instead of that, for being the center of attention, getting that attention, love, they change it to epilepsy. Some chemicals do the same. We see some people when they take certain medicine, give them that convulsion and what we call epileptic attacks. We do that in the time of just coma. When you have a head injury and a head-on collision, what happens? All the energy which was used, for example, you're driving, suddenly has nowhere to go. And then the body switches off. And then the soul operates within the physicality. When we had the first coma case, this became very clear to us. So we have seen how the energies to elevate the soul of the man is within the structure of the physicality of the man. Now we need, instead of creating the convulsion, creating the epileptic attacks, or becoming a condition of coma, to reverse that energy, to go towards the soul of the man within the center of the brain of the man. And then you'll see the elevation of the soul. Every one of us can make a condition to become epileptic. I can show you within minutes. With the first epileptic case we had, she could control it. She could decide, this is middle of the road, if I fall, I have more audience, so she triggers it every time she crosses a zebra crossing. Because there are people, I'm on the floor, I get the tension. But she uses control, which she loses control. Then what we see as a rest of convulsion, what we see as a shaking, is the energy which was supposed to be used for the elevation of the soul of the man. But the girl decided to use for physicality. Being aware of this knowledge, I could stop the energy to be released, to become physicality. And within less than 4 months, there were no epileptic attacks. There were no need for using of the medicine. As I said in other teachings, according to her doctors, she has taken over 100,000 tablets in 30 years of learning the technology of how to create energies, but not knowing where to send it. Within 4 months, the same doctors confirmed there is no epilepsy and there is no need for medication. So we knew this knowledge of the elevation of the soul of the man, the conversions of it into the dimension of physicality from the outset. We saw it in Raman spectroscopy of the CO2 at Ghent University in Belgium. But how can you tell this to people who have no knowledge and have no understanding? This is why the knowledge has always been in front of you. I have spoken about this epileptic case many times. Now you understand the process. They concentrate the energy into the center point of what you call the little tongue in the back. In a way, they feed the energy by that, directing it to the what we call the physicality of the man. When you want to see, when you see people who create their own epileptic attacks, ask them one question, open your mouth. The first thing you see, they have a different shape of what you call the little tongue in the back. Is hanging, pointing south towards the physicality. This is where they transfer the energy to. They suck on it. You hear them, most of them create a noise, the same noise as the heartbeat. They manage to create the heartbeat within the structure of the emotion of themselves, that when it matches into the heart, it goes into the dimension of physicality. And then it releases the energy in process what we call epileptic attack. So mankind has been aware of elevating his soul, but he has never managed to bring it inside. You think, I want to travel to planet Zeus, but you put that tablet of energy inside your mouth. Instead of diverting it towards the physicality, you point the energy towards the soul of the man. But now you have the control of it. Matches the fields as it's the home for you, and you reach the transmutation of your fields through the heartbeat of the man with the position and the place where you want to be. Pinpoint accuracy. I want to be where my lover is, where my home is, as even the bricks of the house, the construction of the house has a heartbeat of me which is connected to it. The knowledge of transmutation, the knowledge of transportation, the knowledge of the communication through the heartbeat of the man has always been with the man. But man has never understood, as man preferred the walk, the telephone call, and the sight as the way of communication and confirmation of existence and position. With a new understanding, with the development of the new technologies to be able to match the heartbeat, especially when I go back into Iran, within the next 30 days, hopefully, we start this process. We don't go to start from the bottom. We achieve at the highest level and let the people to understand and catch up. We are not going back to the process of teaching another 5 or 10 years to the science of what we call gas making. We go to the direction and dimension of creating the heartbeat that gives rapid expansion in the knowledge of the man, rapid expansion in what we call the technology and advancement of the man. The whole knowledge of the creation is within us. We could see this in the first space reactors which we developed in Belgium and then tested in Iran. We could see the combination of the two fields with the window we created on the reactors. When you have the opportunity to go to the exhibition, when you see the Iranian reactor, when you see the blue reactor, which was one of the very first reactors we built, we could see the inner core. You can see the position, how we could look into the heartbeat of the system. How we could see the fast rotating ball in the clockwise reaches the maturity of the fields inside, stops, and then rotates backwards. The same as a heartbeat. We could measure at what point that heartbeat, that change of the reactor will come, that instead of returning back, we create lift and motion. We tune into the position. When you have a lover, you create the twin system of the heartbeat. This is how we could totally control the flight of, if you've seen the smaller reactor in respect to the bigger, without interaction with the field of the planet, because I could create enough field plasma inside one reactor to the other that allowed us to do. We were aware of the knowledge of what we call plasma and the heartbeat of the plasma from the beginning of time. But now that the knowledge seekers are aware and understand this, we can expand on the knowledge. In a way, when I used to explain to the knowledge seekers that just 1 second. When we started teaching about, and we explained to you how one system used to fly in respect to the other, was not just by gases, was to create the heartbeat to match, that one could lead to condition and position, to become a lover or take the position which way to go. This is how we could indicate and pre-plan which way, in which direction we wanted one reactor to fly in respect to the other. In so many ways, the knowledge has always been there, but now you can understand. Now we can explain that you can understand. In so many ways, You cannot create flight if you do not comprehend the strength of the fields of the heartbeat of the physicality and the soul of the man. Be it your machine, be it the planet, be it everything else which you target to become close to move away from, to be part of. In so many ways, in the original reactors, we always endeavored to understand the heartbeats through interaction of the two reactors. When you look at the two reactors which were built and tested in Tehran, both have a heartbeat. Both are double core. If you look at them on the screen, you will see. The far distance reactor, which is sitting here, with the smaller one, which is sitting here. They are both twin system. They both have double core. The smaller one later on became to have a triple core. In the other systems, which was first shown in Italy, the energy system was the first three-core system which we introduced. The advancement of the knowledge was so much that we could even go one step further than production of the condition of the physicality, the soul of the physicality, the soul of the man. When you look at the pictures of what we call the past, now we can explain what we teach you has already been in front of you from the beginning of time. In so many ways, when you look at the energy system, which we showed originally in Italy, which was actually manufactured in Belgium and shipped to Italy, is a triple core, which means we created such a small reactor inside the soul that we could even copy the heartbeat of a planet, the heartbeat of another position in the universe. The first triple core system gave us the interaction and indication that we could keep the soul of physicality. We could keep the soul of the man, but inside create a dimension of the soul of a position that inside the physicality wants to be within, to get, to reach, to be part of. Now we had the power to understand we could work from inside out. We could create a miniature, small dimension reactor inside the physicality of the system, which allowed us not only to change the dimension of the physicality, it allowed us to be able to create a new dimension and position. And this is what you will see in the upcoming enhancement units. We have hidden within the structure the creation and condition of the third, which man has to decide in how he'll use it to elevate and to bring the condition of the change of position or the energies to create or transmute from one element to another according to the point and the strength of the observer. When you look at the original reactors, which a lot of people were expecting energy from, it was initially tested for creation of the third dimension. Dimension of the position, dimension of the strength of the soul of the creator, dimension of understanding of any matter or element within the dimension of the existence of the man. It's the first time we disclose the understanding of. But if you go back to where we originally showed this reactor, we always explained this is a three-core center. The outer, the inner, and right on the tip of the system inside, we could add, increase, change and introduce plasmas which could create the condition of the position and dimension. When we did the test in the labs, we could see the aura of what we call the position and dimension. These reactors, which in the coming time will be introduced, is needed to create the condition for transmutation and transportation, and to be able to convert matters in different dimensions and positions. A 3-core reactor is in a way inside the inside of the inside, where you can change that inside to the position, to the strength of the galaxy, to the position on the Earth or on Moon, and then transport the soul of physicality and the soul of the man within the structure of the center. In so many ways, we always had the knowledge. Now you can understand the way it's done. The way was planned to be. Now we can explain the structure of the motion. We can explain the structure of creating a third field within the fields of the physicality and the soul of the man. Then you can choose. I can take you within the soul of a stone, as I can create that soul within the structure of the soul of the man in the dimension of his own physicality and dimension of his own soul. Now, the knowledge has to become deeper and understood, and in the coming time, upon my return to Iran, in Tehran Sharif, and in what we call National Defense University, we will show these processes, where we let you go within the soul of a stone and explain to all of us what you see in the vision of the soul that the rest of us can understand. Now we understand more. We appreciate the knowledge in a deeper way. We can take you to the center of the sun, and you can go to the center of the universe with understanding the strength of the soul within the center core of the reactor. We tested this in China, as the knowledge seekers were not aware of the knowledge. For me to stand back and see and understand how the systems can be used was very clear, because I knew what I was looking for. While they were looking for something else, we were there to produce and to deliver something else for the further advancements, when the knowledge seekers are knowledgeable enough to be able to enjoy the time and the space and the place. Now you understand how the man will travel the depth of the universe, carrying his soul and carrying his soul of physicality, that at a given point in dimension, he manifests himself in that position in a dimension of physicality which the space and time allows it to. Maybe with 6 arms and 2 legs. Now you understand how much the knowledge has been in front of you. Go back into the teaching and look at what we call the energy system, which was brought in and shown for the first time in the Sasano when we went to Italy. It was part of, and it was delivered to be part of that technology. In so many ways, nothing has been hidden and everything has been in front. But as the mankind does not have the knowledge, could not see, could not comprehend that the knowledge of the man is far beyond what is on the table, is far, far beyond what mankind could understand. And now we start sharing the knowledge. We start sharing the existence and confirmation. So if you understood this, in the coming time, if you can find the soul of an atom that you could put in the center of the 3 cores, and you could understand the heartbeat of that atom within the plasma of its structure, you can reach the soul, the center of the creation, of the totality of the created. You don't encompass, you embed. And that's the secret of transportation and transmutation in the depths of the universe. In a way, you work within and not to cover, to be able to go, to reach, to move, to convert, and do everything else which the man considered. Always remember what I have drawn for years. I start the spine, the spiral from the center, and I go out. And this is how mankind in coming time will be able to achieve such a process. You have to work with it. You have to understand your hydrogen takes the center point where the carbon will build on top of it, and so forth. This is the part of the process of the understanding. This is part of the process of being able to create a common ground and build on it to every other element which you might want to add or create or move to or convert into. You sit in the center, not to carry from outside. Man is used to the planes and cars to get in and to be carried, where with the work of the Creator, the energy moves within to move the body of the man, not to put the man inside to carry the man. Different, total different technology, totally different understanding, totally different proposition for man's knowledge expansion in the work of the universe. Maybe mankind now understand what it means. I made man in the image of myself. And I am in the center. I live within the center of everything which exists. And now is the work of the knowledge seekers to develop this, what we call the understanding and the process of conversion and transmutation from the center of the body of the man and not from outside. Would there be a time when mankind will use this knowledge to use the, what we call the energies of the viruses, to feed them directly to the soul and to the center point of the creation, that man can become a compact energy transportation that can move anywhere within the universe. The knowledge of creation is within the created. Is for man to find the knowledge. Is for the man to understand the process. The path to the Creator sits within the center of the soul of every created thing, even the man. Is man who has to go deeper inside to become more detached, that he can give everything to reach to the lover, to the Creator. Then this way you will understand why even we created the, what we call the coils, because it allows you to spiral to the point to become stronger, to reach to the center, to the Creator. One day mankind will understand by development of especially the, what we call the coils which you use in maglev system, what knowledge was given to man. And man, through the greed of the few light bulbs, missed the light of the Creator. And in time, man will come to understand the totality of the knowledge. Our greed for a visual seeing allowed us to miss the light of the Creator with the same vision. But in time, as we become knowledgeable, man will overcome these weaknesses of detachment, become the process of his strength, and attachment becomes his demise. Be it the love, be it the physicality of a car or a lover. In so many ways, the knowledge of the creation sits within the soul of the man. It's for man to find that knowledge, to understand the power and the strength of the heartbeat of that energy center within itself, that it leads to its creation. In so many ways, we listen to the heartbeat of the man, physical condition. Now we listen to the heartbeat of the soul of the man. And when man graduates to understand totality, then mankind will listen to the heartbeat of the Creator within himself. Then you understand what I have said for such a long time, that it takes 1 second to reach to the level of the Creator, to be with the Creator, as his heartbeat is within the soul of the man. And in so many ways, he controls the man. He reaches the man through his soul, directly from inside and not from outside. In so many ways, mankind will become very wise to understanding of the totality. When you look at this reactor, you see the progress in understanding. The reactor on the corner, this is the reactor with the 3. This reactor has 2, and this reactor has 1. This reactor has 2. This reactor has 2. This is the same. If you look, all the knowledge has been there from the beginning. When you look at this system, just watch. What do you see? 1 motor, 2 motors, 3 motors. When you look at this system, just watch what you see. If you expand it, you will see rings. You will see the expansion of the rings. Each ring links to 1 position in the center of what you call your systems. 1 measures or feeds or allows the elevation of the center, where the position of the planet to be, the soul of the Creator to be controlled. The knowledge has been there from the beginning, but now we can explain. We could measure the strength of the plasma in the center of the reactor. We could even measure the heartbeat of the system. When we put this system in front of you, there is so much knowledge of the creation and the creator inside. But now, as man knowledge has progressed, we can explain. This far system here has a little tiny reactor in the center. Is less than 3 millimeter diameter. Sits inside another system and sits inside what you see from outside. We could make a condition that this system to travel to any point in the depth where the man heartbeat matches his existence. Because when you look, it's very simple. We created a small reactor, which is controlled and fed through a dynamic beam. Then we have created a second reactor, which again the soul sits inside this, where we could feed this one through a hole here, and this one through holes here. And then we created the third core, where we could do the same and feed this one here. We could control the rotation of this one. We could control the rotation of this one, and we could control the rotation of this one. But in essence, in the center, there was one soul, what we call the soul of the creator. With it, in the interaction of this soul, this field and this field, we could create a condition of moving the soul of the system and the soul of the creation this way. Then when we interact with this one and this one, we move the soul of the physicality in conjunction with the center. And then at the same time, we still have the connection with the soul of the physicality and soul of the man, that we can take both with us. And when we land in a new environment, wherever it will be,